The Megaraptor, Valguero community vote winner and probably the eeriest creature to be added to Ark Survival Ascended since the reveal of the Dreadmare. This creepy creature is extremely aggressive and may well change the way that you feel about traveling around the Arks forever. However, once you have tamed one for your very own, the Megaraptor may just turn the tide of battle in your favor. The Megaraptor can be found stalking around the redwoods and chalk hills on Valguero, and taming one is no small feat, as these creatures come with a challenge to all who hope to harness their strength. In the wild, the Megaraptor is a fierce hunter. They prefer solitude, so you're very likely to find only one at a time. However, as they are so aggressive, the Megaraptor tends to run after its prey and can move about quite a bit, allowing them to sometimes cross over into each other's territory if you are very unlucky. The wild Megaraptor will hunt you, causing your vision to become impaired with smoke, while the Megaraptor also gains a speed boost while it is hunting you. So outrunning these feathered nightmares on their home turf is unlikely to happen. If the Megaraptor kills you or the creature that it was hunting, it will gain an invigoration buff that gives the Megaraptor a shield, which makes it even stronger and more difficult to deal with. Why is the Megaraptor so aggressive? Well, to collect trophies from its many kills, of course. Trophies that it uses to build a little altar to display its prowess as a master hunter. Wild Megaraptors will create an altar that looks like a bloody spike sticking out of the ground, with a few bones scattered around the base. You will need to find this Megaraptor altar in order to start the minigame that allows you to knock out the Megaraptor, to tame one for yourself. Apart from tracking down and finding the Megaraptor's totem, you'll also need to bring a torch to play a little game with this terrifying potential new friend. The better the quality of the torch, the more torpor it will do to the Megaraptor in every round. Make sure that you have a very good set of armor and perhaps create a little base camp near the Megaraptor that you want to tame, as you may need to respawn quite a few times before this beast is knocked out. Also, it's not a bad idea to stack your hotbar with medical brews or healing foods, as you may just need them, and they have to be readily accessible when you do. When you have your taming outpost set up near the Megaraptor's altar, I recommend that you leave your tame there as well, safely out of harm's way, or pot them up. You won't be able to defend your dino if something attacks them while you are busy knocking the Megaraptor out. Also, make sure to stash away your companion and shoulder pet if you don't want to risk them dying or the companion distracting the Megaraptor. As a side note, if you have access to a spring drakeling, I would suggest bringing one along for the tame, as its healing buff will easily keep your health high while taming the Megaraptor. If you fail to whack the Megaraptor with a torch too many times, the minigame will end and you will get mauled, so watch out for that. You can clear out the creatures in the area before you start the tame, but be mindful that you don't attract the attention of the Megaraptor in the process. Some of the areas where the Megaraptors spawn are littered with wildlife, so this part may be difficult and new creatures will spawn in all around you. I also recommend attempting this tame in the daytime, as it is much more difficult to see the Megaraptor in the dark, and you want every tiny advantage that you have while playing this minigame. Just a note here, a full tech suit will make taming the Megaraptor a tiny bit easier, as it highlights the dino's outline and also allows you to jump up or run away from danger if your health drops too low. But for this tutorial, I am not going to use a tech suit, and instead I'm going to use a normal set of flak. Now that everything is prepared, you can take out your very best torch and go up to the Megaraptor's altar. Look for the prompt to challenge the Megaraptor to initialize a little minigame. If the Megaraptor is busy attacking something, you will get a red message stating that the Megaraptor is out hunting. You will need to wait for it to be done in order to challenge it, which can be tricky if there is a lot of wildlife around. Also, if a wild creature comes near while you are playing the minigame, it may distract the Megaraptor and interrupt your minigame, so make sure that the area is clear before you start. Once the minigame is started, you will have about a 180-degree view with your back against the altar. Your sight will be obscured by the Megaraptor's hunting smoke effect, and you will have only one prompt to end the minigame. Remember this if your health drops too low, so that you can attempt an escape. While the minigame is active, you will have limited movement, so bear that in mind. You can, however, take health potions, food and drink from your hotbar while the game is ongoing, so make sure to keep an eye on your character's needs. The Megaraptor will prowl around you and lunge at you from out of the shadows in a random direction. The hard part is to figure out where it is coming from and to hit it over the head with a torch. This will stun it for a moment, causing stars to swirl around the Megaraptor's head and also deal a bit of torpor, causing it to retreat for a moment. If you are too slow, the Megaraptor will take a chunk out of your health. You will only have a few seconds between rounds of Megaraptor Peekaboo to heal, before you will need to fend off this nightmare once more. I found that being in third person makes it a little bit easier to see just where the Megaraptor is attacking from, as you have a slightly larger field of view. Simply turn your camera around to see where the Megaraptor is coming from and whack it with a torch. You need to land your head on the Megaraptor in order for it to count towards its torpor. You need to continue playing the sadistic Dino's game until its torpor is filled all the way up and it falls down, clearing the fog once more. Once knocked out, you can feed your Megaraptor. They prefer exceptional kibble or better, but will tame with raw meat, prime or mutton as well. The torpor drain on the Megaraptor is pretty quick, and you will need to feed your new trophy tame some narcotic or biotoxin to keep them nicely asleep while they are taming. This will be dependent on the taming speed of the server that you are playing on, and if you have a very fast taming speed, you may not need any narcotic at all. However, be prepared to bring quite a bit of kibble, as these guys will munch through your stack of kibble in no time. Once your Megaraptor is awake, you can now harness this mighty assassin for your own benefit. The saddle is unlocked at level 60 for 22 engram points and is made in the smithy using 200 fiber, 350 hide and 50 metal ingots. Once saddled, you can run, strafe and jump around, even double jump, whilst already in the air. While you perform a double jump, you will see a tiny crosshair appear, signaling where you will land to perform the dive pounce attack. This attack knocks back anything in a little radius around the Megaraptor when it lands, and it also stuns the target for 5 seconds. This can be quite useful if you need to scatter a bunch of tiny annoyances like hyenodons or troodons away from a tame or a teammate. This pounce can also ground flyers if you are able to time it well enough to hit them. The Megaraptor has a UI listing its abilities on the right hand side of the screen, which on PC can be toggled on and off by pressing the left control and I key together. Its main attack is a melee attack, and after you have landed a few hits on your target, you can tap R to perform a claw finisher move that will also apply a bleeding effect to your prey. Pressing the left control key toggles a super handy turn in place function that will allow your Megaraptor to turn in a tight little circle when enabled. This can be seen to the left of your hotbar. Pressing C lets the Megaraptor perform a super menacing cosmetic roar. The next two abilities are where this creature really shines. Holding the right click and pressing C will engage your Megaraptor's camouflage, making this creature harder to see, especially from a distance. When camouflaged, the Megaraptor will have a circle in the center of the screen that will fill up with a green bar to indicate how visible you are to the enemy. Because the Megaraptor will not actually appear invisible to you, the rider, the only indication being a little buff icon at the top right of your screen. When standing still, you are completely invisible, and as you move closer, you will become more and more visible until the circle totally fills up with green and the Megaraptor becomes totally visible again. If you hold the right click and the left click together while a creature is in your crosshairs, it will hunt that creature, placing a marker on it which highlights its outlines and shows you how low or high their health is. Green for full health, going more and more yellow as it drops, and finally reaching red just before your prey expires. In this area, it will also show you when the hunted prey creature is isolated from its friends. The Megaraptor excels at singling out its prey and picking them off one at a time. Attacks will deal bonus damage to isolated enemies. Hunting a creature obscures their vision and makes it very hard for the hunted prey to see, while at the same time offering a speed boost to the Megaraptor. When the Megaraptor kills off a recently damaged target, it will get an invigoration buff, which will give the Megaraptor a shield for a limited time, allowing it to grow ever stronger as it rampages across the Arks, striking fear into the hearts of his enemies. So beware of any wild Megaraptors that have a glowing shield around them. The Megaraptor is a very unique creature in that this creature does not benefit from having a partner of the opposite gender nearby to mate boost it. As long as there is only one Megaraptor and no others nearby, the Megaraptor will get the solitary hunter buff, which makes them deal more damage and take less damage. As soon as another Megaraptor is nearby, they will however lose the solitary hunter buff, making them both weaker until they are separated far enough from each other again to regain their solitary hunter buffs. So keep your Megaraptors on their own for best results if you are planning on using them to take over the Arks. Even though Megaraptors are uncomfortable with their own kind nearby, they are breedable, and their eggs can be used to make superior kibble. Now that you know everything that I know about the Megaraptor, I hope that you will go out and tame one of your very own to stalk around the Arks with. Until next time, survivors, tot ziens en lekker speel!